Welcome to the 52nd episode of ML Backstage. My name is Mars Luna.
And I'm Ethan.
And we're introducing this podcast straight from the sixth dimension. This is a music commentary podcast hosted by Joshua Luna today. Since Holokaiki Tovez and Kainalu Kamai are 3 hours ahead and behind, respectively, they will sit out this episode.
Wait, I thought you said they would make it today.
Well, that's what Joshua said, so blame him. Anyway, I'm excited to roll out the first Final Voyage episode. And album season is here, Ethan. Earthlings, grab your popcorn and let's get started. Back to planet Earth we go!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 52 of the ML Backstage podcast. I am Joshua Luna, and I go by the stage name or character of Mars Luna, space alien singer and cosmic prince from the sixth dimension. And this podcast, the ML Backstage podcast, is basically a behind-the-scenes backstory of every Mars Luna project, album, single, EP, or even feature. You know what I'm saying? And just kind of breaking things down and taking a peek behind the scenes, breaking the fourth wall, if you will. And I'm normally joined by my co-host, my best friends, Holokaiki Tovez and Kainalu Kamai, but they're not able to make it here today because I am 3 hours apart time-wise from each of them. So navigating schedules with that is always a challenge, but it's always a pleasure whenever they're able to come on. But unfortunately today they're not able to, which is funny because Holo said last week that he would be available today, but things change. And Kainalu he's always on and about, and he had his he had a DJ show last night, so he's probably either at work or taking a break today. But but today, you know, we are going through album season right now, and I can't believe it's already here. And I'm probably going to take a good retrospective look on everything from this year and how it's led up to this point. And you know, I'll probably uh I'll probably take some time to process that. But before we officially start, um, this podcast, the ML Backstage podcast, is unofficially sponsored by, which is, you putting that on the screen here, Celsius. You know what I'm saying? Uh, which is actually fitting because I'm actually really tired right now, and I need some energy. So Celsius always comes through, and you know what I'm saying. And today's flavor is mango lemonade. Provides essential energy, accelerates metabolism, burns body fat. It's a good pre-workout. And every time I film these episodes, I usually take an all-nighter to kind of, you know what I'm saying, edit it and try to get it out there to, you know what I'm saying, a very quick turnaround with these. So these Celsius always help with that. They give me energy throughout the day whenever I drink them. I usually only drink them whenever Mars Luna performs, because I I have to get into that mode. You know what I'm saying? He's a very out there character, at his peak, and Mars Luna is basically a cosmic energy ball, just kind of getting ready to go all the time. And yeah, I actually never tried this flavor, so if you're if you're into Celsius, go check out your local grocery store, your Smith's, your Kroger, your Target, Walmart, all that. You can find that everywhere. So, cheers. And I'm gonna take a sip of this. I'm trying not to spill. There we go. This flavor is really good. mango lemonade. But anyway, so this month for me has been really busy and really expensive. Um, I had to the from the very first week of the month, I had to go get a new tire because in Vegas there's always construction and there's needles and all bunch of crap everywhere on the road. And apparently I ran over a nail. Unfortunately, it is what it is. It happens. And I had to get my right rear tire replaced. And I had to go get an iPad because I needed it for my first Beyer Entertainment gig, which is a talent agency out here nationwide. They're based here in Vegas, and they're kind of responsible for some of the uh, like the high profile shows on the strip and stuff like that. And I'll get into that in just a bit. Uh, so I had to spend money on an iPad, um, and these AirPods, these Solo Buds that I got on right now, um, and a bunch of other crap. Like it was a very expensive month, but it is what it is when it comes to being adult. And you know, it's been I've been kind of processing things in my brain as I've approached this this season of life that I'm in, not just with Mars Luna, but in general, and kind of in this liminal space, and trying to navigate through that as best as I can. Just trying to get to the other side of it, and it's nothing bad, but transitions are always weird, which is why, Mars Luna always says to embrace your Odyssey and embrace the strange, and that's kind of what we're covering today. Um, and yeah, just a lot, and there's a lot of things that I'm balancing too. And I also have a show tomorrow, the first Final Voyage show tomorrow, for Mars Luna at Ninja Karaoke. This is my upcoming music update segment, I guess. And yeah, first Final Voyage show of the year. Hopefully, there's more. Uh, uh, if you're in Vegas, come out to play some chess because it's for the Go Gettahz Chess Club. Shout out to D McKenzie for putting me on, and yeah, get to hear some of these Final Voyage songs live. I'll break some of them down today, and you know, if this is the album release show, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Um, I'm at peace regardless. And that's another thing. I'm learning to be at peace with the transitions that happen. And I know God was kind of talking to me yesterday, and he was basically telling me to let it all go. And, I've kind of, I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. I want to go back to something I mentioned earlier, maybe about 5 minutes ago, about my first gig for Beyer Entertainment, which was basically a cover gig at this steakhouse. Um, I have never been more stressed. Oh, I wasn't. It was the most stressed I've ever been for a gig because it was just something completely different from the norm, and I had to learn a bunch of songs that I didn't really like, and I had to prepare a set list for more so the venues specifically. And this is a set that I will play throughout my entire time with Beyer. So, it is what it is. This is Vegas for you, so it's a lot of cover gigs, a lot of residency type stuff. And this was my first gig. It was in the works for about 3 months, and it went better than I thought it. You know what I'm saying? And it was more fun than I anticipated because I had to memorize like 3.5 hours of songs that I only knew like a quarter of them beforehand. So, and it was hard picking a set list because the venue wanted top 40, and I was kind of stressed out about that because it was just like top 40 this year. I was like, man, I listen to I listen to hip hop regularly, bro. Like the Clips album that just came out was a phenomenal album, 10 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Kendrick made waves last year again, and like it was hard kind of thinking about top 40 songs from this year, but then I talked to my talent manager and she was basically like, top 40 over the last 10 years. So I was like, okay, I kind of figured out what I needed to do, and it all coincided, you know, with the Nashville trip that I took in May, with the Hawaii trip that I took last month. And I spent a whole lot of time preparing for it, and I ended up having more fun the further along I went into the set. And, I'm grateful that they gave me a chance again uh, to play at the said steakhouse, Del Frisco's, in at the end of August. So um, I have a feeling like a lot of the stuff that I do for Mars Luna involves those kind of gigs after the album is done. And you know, once I get more familiar with it, it's basically easy money. So shout out to Beyer Entertainment, shout out to Del Frisco's, and I'm looking forward to hopefully getting more into a rhythm with these cover songs and with the gigs that I have with them. And also I'm also more excited about uh the final Voyage show tomorrow at Ninja Karaoke. So it's busy, but it's a whole lot of fun. And let's go let's tap into pre final Voyage since it's dropping on August 8th. It's a little less than a month away from it actually dropping, and and I spent a whole lot of time thinking about how everything has led up from maybe like at this point last year all the way to now. Because last year I was I was home last year in July, um, helping my mom, recover from her surgery and also preparing for my grandpa's funeral. And it was a super heavy month last year. And then in August, uh, I I met up with Morgan at the Fashion Show Mall. That was actually the last time I saw him. I invited uh, I invited him to play at the show, but he's kind of in a different stage of his life now, and he didn't respond back to me regarding the show, so it's all good. Um, but the general vibe was that with Morgan, you can check out some of the episodes that I have with Morgan Wright here on this podcast. Shout out to him. Um, that's my dog. But um, yeah, I had a whole conversation with him, and we kind of had a realization that things were kind of moving a little bit different, and you know, and it took a while for me personally to be at peace with it because I'm the type of person that's like, if I progress, if I move forward and elevate to the level that I want to be, like it's not just a victory for me, but it's also for the people that the people that rock with me alongside me too. You know what I'm saying? Like so like a Morgan or like a Holo or like a Nalu, that's why I kind of as long as they want to be there, like I want to champion them as well as I progress. But so I met up with Morgan in August, and then I had like a studio show um, with the homie Def Mass, um, Rob Lacey at the Notes for Notes Foundation, and then I didn't have anything after that for a while, and then in January I dropped the statement about this being the last Mars Luna year, um, dropping the album, and this is it. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't expect year nine to have a lot of developments, such as, um, being at the Shag Room, um, whenever you know what I'm saying? Like being at the Shag Room on Wednesdays and meeting all these new people who never heard of Mars Luna before. Um, and shout out to the homie Surge um, for inviting me to it. And you can check out the Serge Jordan episodes on this channel as well. That's the homie, and he's working on another album, and he been busy as well. But but the Shag Room happened, and it gave me an opportunity to practice some of these Final Voyage songs and to perform these Final Voyage songs as kind of like a part of the rollout in a way. And basically, from about March to about now, because I was just at the Shag Room on Wednesday, um, just kind of getting to know different people and seeing a different part of the Vegas scene that I wasn't necessarily familiar with before, because I was just familiar with the downtown, with people who perform downtown and whatnot. And like I was telling one of my homegirls, uh, her name is Crystal. Shout out to Crystal. That basically because she found out that I was working for Beyer Entertainment now, and basically, and when I was talking to her, I guess she thought I was kind of downplaying it, but I wasn't. It was just something that it was different. It wasn't what I expected. This whole year as a whole has not been what I expected. And from like January to about mid-March, I was in the biggest creative slump ever. And I was thinking like, man, like if there wasn't anything, if I didn't have any opportunity to perform again, if I didn't have any opportunity to, if I was just gonna fade away into the sunset, if Mars Luna was just gonna fade out, and just head back into the sixth dimension, I was I was going to be at peace with it, or at least that was what I was hoping for. But now, this whole season has been really sentimental and has been really given me an introspective look at how this year has played out, and it wasn't necessarily what I anticipated. There's a lot of sentimental songs with Final Voyage, like Roller Coaster is about, if you go back to the roller coaster episode, um, episode 47, I believe, um, it was about, Holo's on and off situation with this girl, uh, who basically described herself as risky, dangerous, and a liability. And she drank vodka in his car while they were on the way to their photo shoot. You know what I'm saying? And like how that impacted him. And, laughing about it 6 years later. And then With You is, the song um, it was a challenge from the homie Angelo, you know what I'm saying? And, and talking about how I wrote that song in about 20 minutes with a certain chord structure that I pulled out of a hat and a topic that I pulled out of a hat. And you know what I mean? And Galileo, a song about uh, trying to go back to a situation that, that the, you know, trying to reconnect with a lost loved one. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna dig deep into those a little bit more, but like uh so the concept around no, before I get dive into that, just thinking about how relation I also want to talk about, yeah, how relationships changed. And I'm noticing more as I grow up and as we grow up and get older, and people have different priorities and different things that they're focusing on in life. And I and Final Voyage is basically the checker flag for Mars Luna. You know what I'm saying? And I've been this liminal space that I've been in has been amplified by 20 because of a lot of things in my life are simultaneously reaching its conclusion at once. And and Holo always says this, like whenever there's like every ending leads to a new beginning. And in order for new things to happen, things have to end. Certain things have to end. Certain relationships have to have to grow in their own ways. You know what I mean? Certain and with Final Voyage being an album full of sentimentality and nostalgia, um, it's easy to kind of gravitate towards the nostalgia and lean into that a whole lot more. And and I get to embrace that nostalgia now because once it's out there, like it's not mine anymore. The project is yours, and it's for everybody to listen to. And I knew that like the concept of nostalgia was very evident in this album. And for the concept of Final Voyage, I wanted all of the photos to like all the photo shoots that I did for Roller Coaster, for With You, um for the Final Voyage album. I wanted it to resemble vintage Vegas uh because Vegas is a city that's transient by nature. There's a lot of change that happens all the time. And I've been in Vegas for 11 and a half years, close to 12. It'll be 12 next year. And I've seen so many changes that have happened from 2014 to now. And it's just a lot. It's a lot to keep up with. And Vegas is a city that's very much like if you don't keep up, you're going to get lost. And uh, and I wanted to kind of since like I said, the album is very nostalgic by nature and sentimental by nature. I wanted to go back. I wanted to the album to resemble uh a gloried I don't know if that's a word. If wanted it to go back to a storied, state of time, you know what I mean? Like with how Vegas used to be in its glory days before it transformed and downtown Las Vegas kind of resembled a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? It's still popular, it's still popping. Like Fremont's still popping at night, and then yeah, but it still resembled some of the glory days of old Vegas. So so that was kind of what I wanted to lean into a lot more, and I'm actually really excited to drop this because this is the very first album that I made by myself. That I produced it all by myself. And this album has been in the chamber for about 3 years. Like I'm wearing the new Orbit, you know what I'm saying? Uh shout out to this album. Um because I actually worked on Final Voyage around this time 3 years ago. When I borrowed Morgan's SMB you know what I'm saying, microphone for a week to record the new Orbit demos. And I didn't know when I was gonna record with Morgan again, but he gave me the mic for me to borrow uh, during the pre-production process for New Orbit, and because of the Rona and everything, like Mars Luna was already behind schedule, so I wanted to, and I was already kind of like experimenting with some stuff during COVID, anyways, with the Archer CP and all the stuff that I released there, but uh, basically. Uh, yeah, I recorded a lot of these. No, all of them. All of these songs within probably a week or 2 weeks. And basically I knew that timing was everything. And there are some and, and I decided to hmm, I'm gonna reframe this. I thought about recording this album with Morgan, but I wanted, but at that point, like from 2023 to 24, like I was really over Mars Luna pretty bad. I was actually no, it was just last year. Like I've precipitated the ending of Mars Luna for a while. Like there was always going to be an end. The end game is Final Voyage and some extra appendix like releases afterwards, but the true end of the Cosmic Chronicles is this album. And Morgan has seen the process, and he's seen, like, we've had numerous conversations about this throughout the years, and he knew that I wanted to end this. I colored my hair for Mars Luna. There was a lot of things that I did for him, and I kind of basically did what, you know, like Mars Luna, the character, wanted me to be, and I tried to resemble that the best way that I could. But ultimately, in the end, it's I realized that as I start to understand myself, and as I start to not only understand myself as a person, but understand myself as an artist and how I can contribute as myself. And basically, the further that I entrenched myself in the Mars Luna Cosmic Prince persona and character and all that stuff, Space Alien Singer, all that, I was basically betraying myself. And people saw that. Uh, you know, Mars Luna is a part of myself. You know what I'm saying? Like the naturally weird and strange elements, like that's actually me. Like it's a part of me, right? But it's not the whole me. It's only a part of me. And it's a part of, and for a long time, like Mars Luna was, it was basically escapism. I've said that before. It's escapism, and it's basically a mask. And one of the benefits of putting on a mask is that I have the freedom to do a lot more dumb stuff. And the thing about Mars Luna is that the main thing he taught me was that was to not be afraid of looking stupid. Do not be afraid of looking stupid. Or like I've seen videos on TikTok that basically talk about like how, oh, it's only cringe until it works, which is 100% true. 100% true. It's only cringe until it works. It's only cringe until you get people to buy in. It's only cringe until like, okay, like, this person's committed to whatever he's doing. I respect it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's probably the main lesson that I got out of Mars Luna. It was that do not be afraid to look stupid. Like it was because of him that I colored my hair. Like I said earlier, it's because of him that I painted my face. It was because of him that, I put stars on my face. It was because of him that I put on some ridiculous looking outfits that I probably wouldn't wear in my you know, regular day-to-day life. You know what I'm saying? And also to obviously embrace the strange and embrace your Odyssey. Um, even though like there was some intergalactic aspects with it, this intergalactic comic book villain, comic book hero, comic book character, inter ET-esque personality, um, there are still some human elements to it. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that, and it was fun. It really was a lot of fun, and especially in the moments. The moments were a lot of fun, and these 9 years were basically a whole guinea pig, and I got to try stuff out that I normally wouldn't try out. You know what I mean? And in essence, he Mars Luna kind of brought me out of my shell a whole lot more. And although some people, like people that kind of know me a little bit more intimately, um, saw that like, oh, you're better than this. you're better than this persona that you're putting out there or whatever. Like it was still necessary for, my development. Um, and it's actually going through and doing the whole Mars Luna thing. It actually helped me figure out what to do next. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful regardless. And let's go into these song breakdowns. I'm not gonna break down the entire album, but I'm gonna break down some of the songs that are already out. So I did mention Roller Coaster, right? So let's start with that. No, no, no. I'm sorry. Let's start with let's start with song number one. So song number one is With You. With You is the first song of this album. It kind of sets the tone. You know what I'm saying? The song about many years ago, I was a new kid in town. It was basically about me moving from one city to another during my sophomore year of high school. And I basically came from the trenches to probably one of the best high schools in the state of Hawaii. Shout out to Mililani. You know what I'm saying? That's where I met Holo. That's where I met Nalu from. And, even though, like, With You, even though, like, I'm several thousand miles apart from my best friends, we still found a way to keep the friendships work. You know what I'm saying? And that's what With You celebrates. And I already talked about how this song was written from a challenge that Angelo initiated back in 2018. And it took 6 years for it to come out. But hey, man, like, it's out now. And I'm proud of how I did that one, for sure. So, With You is track number one. Track number two is Treasure Island. I have a whole episode about Treasure Island, back in like the teens. You know what I'm saying? I think it was like 15, 16, or 17 around there. But this version of Treasure Island is the original version. The Treasure Island that was written for the Serious EP I just used the Treasure Island lyrics over a beat that Scott Yago, shout out to Scott, Scotty Tuhati, that he PSV Perseverance music. That's what he's going with now. But yeah, like it's basically a song about the aspect of material things passing away. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no eternal worth in material things and all that kind of stuff. And storing up treasures in heaven is kind of what Treasure Island was. And the melody for this Treasure Island is very different from the serious version of it. And it's a lot more turbulent, and it's a lot more choppy waves. You know what I'm saying? Like a pirate ship going through choppy waves type of thing. So that's what Treasure Island was about. And let's see, Galileo. It's a song. It's track number 3. It's a song about trying to reconnect with a lost loved one, but not knowing whether the opportunity has passed. And that's happened numerous times throughout my life. And I have to make sure that the next woman that I meet is going to be the one. So it makes me a lot more intentional about that. And again, that's another nostalgic element, is that, lamenting over missed opportunities with women. And since Galilee was, the GOAT astronomer, he discovered a lot. He discovered, Callisto, the rings of Saturn, and all that stuff. Like, there's room for new discoveries down the line, and that's, the theme of every ending leads to a new beginning. And track number 5 is Roller Coaster, which is the first single off this project. And shout out to Holo, he and his and all of his biceps, you know what I'm saying? And I'll say that if he ever cross paths with this girl again, she's not gonna recognize him for sure. But basically, yeah, we dug into this in episode 47, but yeah, the whole element of having tunnel vision for somebody, like you want to get to know this person, you want to get to know them better, but they're not who you thought they were, and that's kind of the gist of what happened. And you turn your losses into wins, and like in life's all about how you respond to things. So, I mean, Holo kind of went overboard with the way that he responded to that situation, but at the same time, like, it all works out. It all works out in the end. Everybody processes things in their own way, and it's worked out for him. So it's great. And like any real friend does, like, you write a whole song about his misfortune. Nah, I'm just playing. But yeah, you can dive more into Roller Coaster on episode 47, and the last batch, and then the last two songs. Well, it's really one that I want to bring up is tracks number 6 and 7. In an Instant and See the Stars. These are real OG songs that I brought back. In an Instant in particular is kind of similar to Galileo in the sense of like this is a song about one girl in particular that I wrote about, and she actually heard the song, and back when it was dropped in 2017, and basically there was this girl that I was talking to on and off, and I got to know her parents. Like, they were really nice people and all that stuff. And there was a moment in time where we were talking, and basically the relationship ended when I moved out here, and there was an opportunity for me to go to New York with her for school or whatever, but like that didn't really work out for either one of us. And in an instant, like that relationship just went away, and not in a bad way, but sometimes it just happens. And that was what In an Instant was about, and See the Stars is basically an extension of that song. But in this version of See the Stars, there is a whole conversation, an audio clip that I had with Kainalu, with Scott, and with Holo, and we were talking about girls at the time, and Scott was like, "Oh, Josh, how's you and your girl?" And I was like, it left, it like, I don't mind waiting for. It was about a different girl, you know what I'm saying? That's what. But it has kind of like a similar theme where it was like this girl that I was talking to, or I was getting to know, she basically, I was entering a new situation and she was leaving that said situation. So it was like a really transient, just like Vegas, a very transient, just passing by, you know what I'm saying? And and we were talking about this one girl that I was kind of like interested in, and she basically moved, and then I didn't know how to continue the friendship at that at that point. And that clip, part of the reason why I didn't tweak on it a whole lot more was because I lost the original files when my first hard drive crashed back in 2022. And that little clip that is in there I lost the original file. It was a whole Zoom, impromptu Zoom that we all hopped on way back in 2021 or 20 yeah, 2021 actually. But you'll hear it. You'll hear it on this record on See the Stars, and and I and it'll be like, wow, okay. Like wh- it's a lot of the stems from Final Voyage. I don't have them anymore because they were in the hard, but because they were saved on my original hard drive. But I saved them. I saved the final file, like the Logic Pro files. Like I saved that. So I was kind of like able to tweak on that solely on Logic Pro for a little bit, and then afterwards, I kind of just, I was like, you know what? Talking to my friend about it, he said that I should just drop a demo album, and that kind of solidified my decision to release the songs as they are. And the songs themselves in Final Voyage are very, um, I would say they're the most authentic. I'll put it that way. Like I said, they're very nostalgic, very sentimental, but they're also very authentic. And they're as raw as they're not raw, but because I did put a ton of work on them. Um, but but it's meant to be. I feel like it's a really good final project, a really really good final project. That when you listen to it from top to bottom, you can tell that this is the final. Like this is the end of an Odyssey. This is the end of a specific journey for Mars Luna, and I'm excited for what's next. But I'm also excited for you all um to hear everything because I've gotten really good reviews on Roller Coaster and Galileo and With You. I've got really good responses on all three of those songs. So I'm infinitely grateful. And it's validating, especially since I was very insecure about how my production will come across. And I still have a whole lot of work to do. And I'm still like tweaking and working on future projects and stuff like that. But for this one, I feel really good about it, considering it was I held it in the chamber for 3 years. And yeah, basically I went over the timeline of this being 3 years, and yeah, producing a full project by myself. This is I did all of the work on on my Logic Pro, and that I don't necessarily have like a full blown studio in my crib, but I was able to make the most out of the situation, just kind of like what I do with most of my life. And but the thing is, like all my friends that have been a part of this journey, and even before it, have left their imprint on these songs, which makes it even more special for me. Like Scott with Treasure Island, and and being a part of See the Stars, and Kainalu and Holo, same thing. Holo taking photos the um the singles, and Nalu being a part of the interlude for See the Stars, and Angelo and Kara, his wife Kara, taking the photos for Final Voyage, and I love them so much, and I can't wait for y'all to see them. And as I start rolling it out soon, and Angelo also playing an instrumental part of With You, pun intended, and Morgan, same thing, like coming up with chord structure for it, and still having them like be a part of the project in a small way is really special to me. And I'm glad that I get to kind of wrap a bow on this whole Cosmic Chronicles Odyssey with this project. So it it feels good, but living in it now, it's super bittersweet because it's like, dang, like did I make the most out of my time doing this? Like it's almost a decade of Mars Luna, and um, I've been through a lot of growing phases and growing pains and just experimentation and stuff like that. But in the end, I would say that this has been everything happens the way it's supposed to, and in the grand scheme of things, outside of my own orbit, outside of my own orbit, um, pun intended, but yeah, outside of my orbit, I would say that it was a successful failure. And that is an oxymoron. It's a paradox, right? Like I say that it was a successful failure because I did everything that I was supposed to. But I wish that I was able to maximize it a lot more. You know what I mean? But again, I can lament all that. I can lament on that all I want, but it's very everything was supposed to happen the way it was supposed to. So, if you are new to this podcast, every episode I ever on every episode, excuse me, I I have a central question that relates to uh every Mars Luna project, single, um, double single, feature. There's like a certain or person, special guest that I bring on. There's always a certain theme that I have with said album or project, EP, single, double single, or special guest. There's always a theme, and there's always a question that kind of revolves around that theme. Uh, Whether it's a general question, philosophical question, fun question, there's always going to be a question surrounding that. And since Final Voyage is about sentimentality and nostalgia, um, and transitioning from one season to the next. The one question that I have for you is how can you tell when a season of life is ending? Um, for me, this is something that I've processed for a while, but it hits different the moment that you're in it. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I've noticed things ending when I notice that certain situations around me have changed, right? Or noticing how I've changed, and how I view if I take a step back and assess certain situations and seeing how things are going and seeing like how well I within fit in the situation that I'm currently in. And I can say that with every aspect of my life, it's all ending. Like this is something I've never really experienced before. And the closest thing to it was when in 2014 when it was time for me to move from Hawaii to Vegas. And you also have to be sober-minded in assessing said situations and not processing things solely through emotions. Um, it takes objectivity as well in seeing like, okay, how long do I see myself at this job? How long do I see myself doing like this Mars Luna thing or whatever? You know what I'm saying? How long do I see myself, you know, doing what I'm doing? Is there room for growth where I am? You know what I'm saying? Is there room for growth wherever you are? And I think the central theme ab- about whether knowing a season of life is ending is there room for growth? And I've been in Vegas for a really long time. Like I said, Vegas is a transient city, and being in Vegas for all of my 20s is a really long time. I became a man here. I've grown up here. You know what I'm saying? I've and Vegas has been a special place for me. but life will always keep on changing. The cycle of life it'll always go. And I realize that for myself, yeah, everything in my life is ending all at once. Relationships are changing. Um, Not for the worse, but more so people are heading in different directions and they have different priorities and people have different things and I have different things that I'm aspiring towards. And now that I have a clearer picture on where I'm where I believe I'm headed, yeah, it makes more sense to put an end to certain things, to wrap a bow on certain things and be at peace with it because it'll open up to different avenues and uh a different season that can be better than you ever imagined. So be open to the changes, embrace your Odyssey, you know what I'm saying? Embrace the journey you're on and keep God first, put everything in perspective and just let it like I learned like I believe God told me yesterday to, just having conversations with him, just let it go. Let it all go. And everything is meant to happen the way it's supposed to. And just you always want to grow, you always want to get better, you always want to progress. You will never want to feel stagnant. You never want to feel like if you feel like you've outgrown a situation, if you feel like you've um, maximized all that you could in a certain situation, then maybe you should have a conversation with yourself and see what the next what the next thing could possibly be. And once you know you're at peace with it, with whatever that is, that's the cue. That's the cue to go. You know. So, and what specific circumstances or feelings indicate that? Yeah, like I said, it's more so it's not based on just feelings or emotions. It's all about assessing certain situations. Um, like, is there room for growth? Is there room for growth at your job? Is there room for growth with your side projects or with your passions? Are you heading in a direction that supports where you want to go? And for me, it's I'm not gonna reveal everything yet because it's not set in stone right now, and I'm not trying to jinx myself, but I'm at a point now where it's like, okay, I think I've done everything that I could here. I've I'm I'm at peace. I'm I'm at peace with everything that's happened and everything that is currently happening. It's all about getting through that liminal space and heading over to the other side as intact and, and in the uh best place possible. Just do right by yourself, do right by the people around you, and that's probably the most you can really do. So once again, thank you so much to everybody who listened to me ramble on this month's episode of the ML Backstage podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed listening to me. I'm not really much of a talker in real life. Um, so having a place to kind of filter my thoughts out is really therapeutic for me. This going through doing this podcast has been really helpful as far as processing where I am at in my creative journey, and hopefully this resonates with you in some way too. You know what I mean? And the Final Voyage album, the fourth and last album for Mars Luna, is dropping on August 8th. Today is July 19th, so it's 2.5 weeks, and the pre-orders for Apple Music or iTunes will be live next Friday, and you can check. you can pre-save it on Spotify too if you go through my Instagram. And Ninja Karaoke show, first Final Voyage show is happening tomorrow night, for the Go Gettahz Chess Club. And bring your chessboard if you live in Vegas. Bring your chessboard for free entry. Otherwise, it's $10 at the door. And yeah, lost my breath there, but yeah, hope to see you there. Hope to see you at Ninja Karaoke if you live in Vegas. I'll be playing some Final Voyage songs live before the album drops. And also, I got another Beyer gig at the same spot at Del Frisco's on the 29th of August too, so I have some time to prepare for that as well. And you can follow me on social media, on Instagram and TikTok at Luna B Joshua. You can follow all the music stuff at for Mars Luna at It's Mars Luna on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook if you still use Facebook, and subscribe to uh, it's marsluna.com for monthly newsletters. You know what I'm saying? And you can follow Mars Luna on Spotify and Apple Music, or Tidal, or whichever music platform you listen to, or that you used to listen to music. And you can follow all of the um, podcast websites, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, at ML Backstage. Stay tuned for this episode that's dropping but before the end of the month. So thank you so much for listening. And as always, embrace your Odyssey and embrace the strange. Like Mars Luna says, shoot!
Wow, Joshua, I am absolutely astonished that you were actually able to keep it together on this episode. Give a round of applause for doing the absolute bare minimum. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the ML Backstage podcast. If you liked what you heard, follow us on Spotify and subscribe to us on Apple and YouTube at ML Backstage. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at It's Mars Luna. You can find all my music on Spotify and Apple Music and on my website at itsmarsluna.com. Pre-save Final Voyage on all the streaming platforms. Stay tuned for the next Final Voyage episode and the album drop next month. Bye!